the power.
That's Colin, Crandall, myself, Adam Roorda, with another weekly episode of MMA Power Hour. Look at me and my strong arms. I love you guys out there for hanging out.
You look strong.
Hanging out with me and the nerdiest of nerds. My strength is not in those arms, even though I do work out.
Absolutely, you got the element of surprise.
Well, we'll call it that. It definitely a chess master, and on that note, I'm actually a blockchain architect for Lith Token. You see me with the logo on my hat here. It is using the ticker symbol LitX. Make sure to check it out on Bitmart. You can buy on Bitmart now. All U.S. customers, UK customers, basically all across the globe, it's available to you in a regulated fashion, which is pretty cool. Now we do have the DeFi token available as well, LitX. It's a brand new token. We did migrate from the last version of it, and now, hey man, we're rocking and rolling. Love it. So check it out, lithtoken.io.
Absolutely. Be careful though of fakes. There's someone out there on Facebook trying to look like it's a crazy giveaway that shows a picture of me. That's completely bogus. This person is a scumbag, and like I think as Adam could say it better, don't get involved in anything that's asking you your 12-digit whatever mnemonic.
No private keys. Hey, not your keys, not your crypto. The second you share it with somebody else, it's their crypto. So don't do it. Another thing with that is literally just use the exchanges to be safe if you don't know what you're doing, or reach out to me directly. I'm okay with answering. I check all my spam, everything with message requests, all of that. Feel free to reach out to me directly. But to verify something, I'll get on it as soon as possible. We are all about adoption, not speculation. So that's one of the cool things about our project. We get more and more adopters every day. So you know what you can wait a little bit because it's just more adopters. And the use case, just so everybody does know, is for a physical NFT marketplace that's coming out soon. One of a kind IP. It's patent pending internationally, very protected. So I have to give my spiel on it every week because guess what? That's what's bringing you this episode.
Exactly. Lith Token, and then with a backup from Cross-Train MMA Fighter. I think I got 7 t-shirts left, so I've sold a few. If you guys want the last few, let me know, and then we might not do a run until next year sometime, so let us know. Also though, with adoption, we're all about adoption, so if you watching happen to be adopted, you really want to get in this LitX, right Adam?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, very important. Why that is, Adam will have to tell you when you hit him up, but it's very important. If you're adopted, this is the best coin for your
I'll tell you right now, I was adopted.
Yep.
And you know what? Hey, you're hanging out with me and one of the adopted ones. To be an adopter and adopt your pets, and definitely do it the right way. Ethics are great. So Colin, we actually have somebody, Ibzan Arroyo. Hopefully I didn't didn't butcher the name. Thank you. Greetings from Atlantic City, he says. You should do a Ken Shamrock interview. Actually, we've had him on at least once.
Yeah, we had him on twice. The
first
time we had him on was in our first few months in 2017. Did a great interview with Ken via Skype on our show, and that may still be able to be found. It might be hard to find, so if you really want it, maybe hit Adam or I up, and we'll see if we can find it in the archives. It could go on way back there. Then we did talk to him before the event that I think Adam worked with him on, and I think we had Ken.
Yeah, Valor Bare Knuckle, and same flights, same car rides, hanging out with them. Pretty cool dude. Got the opportunity to actually chill.
Yeah, he's a decent guy. He's a grandfather.
Yeah, he's a grandfather. He's in his own world. Tell you, we don't get along now, but he's I have nothing bad to say about him. So
exactly, the world's most dangerous man in wrestling. And,
I don't want to mess with him. At the end of the day, whatever he can say.
We don't want to get
put
in one of those Ken Shamrock leg locks, that's for sure, or knee bars. Especially if he's never mind. Anyway, so
well, I'm going to put it this way. At this point, he tried to put out a cryptocurrency. I have a cryptocurrency. He's going to throw a leg lock on me. I'm going to run the fuck away from him right now.
Exactly. Just slip it right out. Get right out and get out of there.
He's not a bad dude, but he's got his own thing.
Absolutely. And then what do we say here? He'll be in the Philadelphia, the new arena, the first weekend. I appreciate that. So Ibsen and Arroyo, we appreciate you giving that information to us. Really do appreciate you. And then We read and reply. And who else do we got? If you want to interview, thanks. We appreciate that, Ibsen. We will definitely consider that. We'll consider reaching out to Ken for sure. So, how much time do we have? We have what, 5 minutes till the 10 after, or what are we looking at?
We're about 3 minutes away, Colin. About 3 minutes away.
All right, so
I think we can handle those 3 minutes. Just a little bit more banter.
Yeah.
But Colin, as far as fights coming up, we were just talking about it before the show, and I just want to cover this real quick, get a little teaser because it's not going to be a full conversation. I really think Curtis Blades and Aspinall is going to be a banger.
Yes.
I do think Blades needs to fight boring a little bit here, but with that knockout that he just had on his last fight, I think, man, this could be a banger, a stand-up banger. I was just thinking about it after I said it to you.
Yeah, and you know, in England, all the fans are going to be cheering for Aspinall, but we talked to Curtis. He's not worried about that. They're going to be yelling that ole, 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 and I think that has to do like bullfighting. Like they're hoping that Aspinall can turn Curtis into the bull and Aspinall be the bullfighter. But I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to be an amazing fight, but I think this is absolutely a step up in class for Tom Aspinall. He's fought some good guys, indeed he has, but I do think he hasn't fought anyone as good as Curtis Blades, and I think Blades may have fought a few guys as good as Aspinall, and definitely has fought some guys that hit harder. So yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a great fight. The two big men right in their prime. One is I think 29, one is 31. Heavyweight that's in the prime for both of them. It's going to be killer.
I mean, come on, he fought Yair, Rosenstruck.
Yeah, Jairzinho, Dawkins, Derek Lewis, Volkov, you know, Dos Santos, who was, you know, Ngannou, even though he didn't, he fought Ngannou 2 times.
Overeating.
You know?
Mark Hunt.
Yeah, Mark Hunt, Olenek, you know, so yeah, he's
has he fought anybody as good as Aspinall? Yes.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. So it's this is the biggest fight for Aspinall, but not really the biggest fight for Curtis Blades if you compare it to the past. But the importance of this fight is huge. This is epic as far as relevance, because really the winner here, I'm positive
it's going to be a title fight if it's not a boring fight. That's the thing. And I think Curtis may have to go boring to win this one.
He may just have to wrestle, wrestle. And, you know, and he's really almost never boring, but I know a lot of people feel if someone just wrestles and controls someone that it can be boring. But I
find it exciting. You find it exciting.
I like it.
But I'm talking in terms of fans. A lot of fans don't like
casual
to see
fans don't like it. They don't want to see kind of a stalled out thing on the ground.
And that matters. That matters with that title fight and who gets it.
That's
for
true.
the pay-per-view buys. And
that's true.
I mean, there's so many levels to this game.
Yeah, without
and you have to find a way to do it. That's why it's a chess match, and every way you can. How can you win standing up? How can you wear somebody down? Maybe even be boring for 90% of the fight just to come around and have a knockout because you wore them down.
Exactly.
That's where it can get to be exciting with just a simple last-second knockout, basically, and we've seen a lot of that.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I heard that someone was talking to the champ Valentina Shevchenko, and they said to her, "Go get a knockout because you are a knockout," and that probably is true, but only for her. No, I'm sure other fighters are in the division now.
Is our first guest Kennedy?
Yes.
All right. Well, he's not online right now. Well, he might be actually. Let's give him a chance.
Yeah, let's give him a shot. I think he's probably ready.
Skype dance. Before Kennedy hops in here, everyone, if you want to ask a question or have us ask a question, go ahead and drop a tip there in YouTube on The Great North Wrestling. If you're not there, if you are there, awesome. YouTube, the Hannibal TV, Great North Wrestling.
Absolutely.
Skype
so
dance.
This is we're not hearing anything. So we're trying to Skype call you right now, but no answer. Maybe if you could Skype us, that would be great. Period.
It happens. It happens. Just so everybody knows what's probably going on. He's probably getting done with the workout.
That could be it, or it's possible that he may have a different Skype. Once in a while, things change around, but yeah, no,
he's active now. I think he's going to try to call us.
Let's see, because I asked him to. Let's see if he can do that.
Cool.
Yeah, but no, we're for sure. He is definitely a reliable guest. I know last week he had a last second thing come up, but he let us know a
No
few hours
worries.
beforehand.
You know what? It happens.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he's a really good guy. He just gave me the thumbs up. So
we are not hot and bothered.
Not at all. We're always happy to talk to the man they call the African Savage. And he's from Nigeria, just like
coming hot off a win.
Yeah, a big win. And can't wait to talk to him. That was an important win over a tough guy in Baby K, Carl Roberson.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge win, doing good things since we last spoke with him July 6th of last year.
Yeah. He had, you know what? He got ripped off of one decision since then, and then there was one fight that he did get caught by a very tough guy just like himself. But it's, you know, but
he showed up though. I mean,
yeah, he did. He was in that fight looking
legit,
good, and then he got
like
caught by the elbows.
Yeah.
Elbows are surprising so many people, you know what I mean? But no, this is a big fight. Kennedy looked really good, and this was, you know, Carl Roberson came up one weight class, but Roberson had fought much higher ranked contenders in his division than Kennedy. And I was with Kennedy. You were with Kennedy on this. We both believe in him. He's the bigger man. He's the natural light heavyweight, and he's a talented guy. A lot of people were not believing in him. In fact, I think he may have been, if not a dog, it was nearly a pick-em. A lot of people felt that Roberson was going to be healthier and stronger at this heavier weight and had the experience with the higher level guys. It was going to be just too tricky for Kennedy and too slick and too fast, and didn't happen that way. He ended up beating the brakes off of Carl Roberson on the ground, like mercilessly, brutally, you know, and so. But okay, so he's not calling us. Should we?
I'm gonna try him again.
Try him again. Let's see.
Boom.
We'll try you again now.
Skype dance. If you're not dancing with us, I don't know. You should start dancing with us.
Yeah, absolutely. The Jens Pulver Skype dance. I remember he likes it. All respect to Jens. He's a good commentator. Sometimes he's on during a pay-per-view. I think last time he was on with Adrian Yanez and did a really good call of the last UFC pay-per-view.
We were Skype dancing before him, by the way.
We were indeed. Oh yeah.
Gotta tell you something.
Huh.
I am an Iowa boy, so.
Oh yeah. Us Midwesterners got the dance moves.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Somewhat we try, or we don't.
Well, he's not picking up. It shows he's online, but he's not picking up, so he's gonna have to call us.
Okay, let me see. So we tried again, and it looks like you're not picking it up. I don't know if you're hearing it, but if you could try to Skype call us, it looks like that would be the answer, because we're not getting through when we Skype call you. Okay.
And it does happen, so bear with us while we figure this out, folks.
We'll make it happen. Let me see. All right, wait a second. So do you think he's probably not hearing anything or something, huh?
Yeah, he might not be.
Okay.
Showing he's active, so he's on, but he just needs to call us.
We see that you're online, but it looks like the only way it's going to work is if you can Skype call us. And then I'll put in the thing here. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Sorry, I've got to be that weird nerd.
That's okay. That's totally okay. We both have it in us. Anyway, so Dr. Adam Roorda, big win by our guest from 2 weeks ago, Emily Ducote in her UFC debut. I was strong on her on that one. I just no disrespect to Jessica Penne, but at 39 years old, I just said that Emily at 28 is so seasoned. She's just in the beginning of her prime. She knew she had to go in there and make a statement, and she did.
Right.
And she Jessica Penne had been on a 2-fight win streak, and Emily, just shut her out. 30-27, I think, on all 3 cards. And so Emily Ducote is one of the few true wrestlers at 115. And I'll tell you, with Tatiana Suarez gone for the last few years with injuries, but before she was injured, I think she said she's going to 125 or maybe during her injury. So she's not coming back to 15. So other than Emily and other than Tatiana Suarez, who's not there anymore, the champ, Carla Esparza, I think is one of the few really good true wrestlers at 115. So I would not be surprised if Emily can big sister some of these girls in there with her wrestling. And honestly, she may be on the fast track to Carla Esparza. But you do have Rose Namajunas, the 2-time champ, in there who's going to want to get some action again. You do have Wei Li Zhang, the 1-time champ, who's going to want to get some action in there. Jessica Andrade had gone back down and had actually stopped Amanda Lemos with that great standing arm triangle choke. But then all of a sudden, she was scheduled to go back to 125 to face the French woman Manon Fiore, and then actually she was replacing the blonde fighter Caitlin Chukagian, and then she fell off, and Caitlin Chukagian is now replacing her. She healed up, and so I don't know what weight class Andrade is going to be in. At 115, Andrade is a killer. I mean, she's not tall, but she's so strong. She cuts a truckload of weight, and she's really, really good. But then she's weakened. The older she gets, the harder it gets. I personally think, even though she's a little bit short, for flyweight, she can do it because she fought at freaking bantamweight for years. So I really feel that the right weight for her to be the healthiest and most effective, but not overly thick and undersized, would be at flyweight. Nevertheless, we may see her again at strawweight, and if we do, she's then also someone who's definitely in the way of Emily Ducote. But really, and I'm sure I'm leaving out a few girls maybe, but really there's not too many girls, I think, that are going to be able to claim more of a right to face top fighters than Emily Ducote. And I'll tell you what, Emily, I think, is 7 years younger than Carla Esparza. And it would be an interesting matchup, Adam. I think you would probably agree, because even though Carla's the champ, she's way more seasoned. You got like a 35 or 36-year-old wrestler with a lot of miles on her, who's been fighting as a pro for a dozen years, against a 28-year-old wrestler who's much more fresh, only been fighting as a pro for 6 years. I think Emily would be live on that. I'm not saying if you put her immediately up against Carla right now, she's ready. Possibly not. But I'll tell you what, this time next year or a little bit later, watch out, Carla Esparza. I think Emily Ducote's coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all I have to say. I have to agree 100%.
Yeah. So, is that Kennedy?
Yeah, I'm trying again. You can hear it, or
I see you trying. Okay.
Viewers and listeners may not be able to hear it. So,
okay.
We are trying Kennedy right now, a third time. We're 8 minutes after.
Yeah. Let's see. You know what? I think if he's not seeing my text, maybe I'm going to call him, because I thought I got the thumbs up, but it wasn't. That was something he and I had done before. I'm going to actually call him really quick here. Let me see if maybe he'll pick up.
Boom, boom, boom. Yep. Colin's gonna call.
Yep.
This is how we do it, folks.
Exactly. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Is that that's the way we do it. That was that line from Dire Straits in the 80s. And of course, we are getting voicemail. So this is unfortunate. All respect to Kennedy and Nzechukwu. I mean, I'll tell you this. Kennedy is a really, really polite, respectful man. One of the most. And I haven't had fighters be disrespectful or crappy, so I'm not saying anyone isn't, but Kennedy is really a gentleman. The way he always speaks, he's always been super respectful. Not everyone thinks that much of media or really considers them a brother or someone that to respect, but Kennedy has never made me feel anything less than highly respected, and so something had to go on here, because we interviewed him twice before he made it to the first time. Last week, in the last second, his coach called in a serious training session, and he felt bad about it. He really did, and he said he can make it this week for sure, and it looks like something has come up. My hope is that maybe if he gets back to jump on, I'm just going to dictate that quick message to let him know, and then we'll continue on here. So here's me dictating live. Hey, Kennedy, it looks like something must have come up, but if you come back here by, say, 8:30 Central Time, let me know, and we can jump on for like at least 10 minutes or something like that, period. Okay, so, all right, Dr. Adam Roorda, well, it looks like we do have a chance.
We're going to keep rolling here and discuss everything that we were kind of hitting earlier.
Let's go
go in here to the best fight odds. Let's go ahead and look at it. So,
yeah.
The odds makers don't agree with me on this. I think
no, they're giving Aspinall, because you know what? The man's in his home country. He probably drove just an hour to get to the arena, and he's getting to eat his fish and chips right around the.
Well, let's get back to that after we go. Let's start from the bottom.
Yeah, that's what you should. Okay, so starting from the bottom, Claudio Silva against Nicholas Dalby, big favorite. I'm not that familiar with Silva. I don't think anyone is. I don't think we should spend a ton of time there. Nicholas Dalby is a beast. He should win that fight. Although, in honesty, I'm speaking without not being that familiar with Silva.
Let's go here. Let's check this out.
Yeah, so Silva's a Brazilian, I would say for sure, and they're always tough, man. So let's see. Is this? I bet you it's a UFC debut for him. Hannibal, 39, and how many UFC fights does he have? Okay, it's not his debut. Oh, wow. He's got like several UFC fights. Wow. Okay, no, a little bit higher. So what is he? Looks like he's four.
A lot of gaps
but
in there. I don't blame you.
And the last two are losses. So he lost, and his last fight was over a year ago. So he beat four guys in a row who were pretty tough. He came up against James Krause and lost, but most people that come against James Krause do lose. And then Court McGee, he lost, and he hasn't fought for a year. And is he 39?
Yeah.
So, I'm older than that. I love these older fighters because a lot of them can still do it. Isn't always a good look, though, when an older fighter takes a year and 3 months off. And it's probably not looking that great on paper. He's a tough dude, though, and at one point he held the title somewhere. Hannibal, Claudio Silva from Brazil. And he's probably not going to do too well against the man, Nicholas Dalby. Okay, continuing. And I think you're with me on that, although there's no
yeah.
All right, this is an interesting fight. So Victoria Leonardo is a tough girl, but I think she's in her mid-30s as well. I think she really didn't get a break up in the UFC until she was already 33, 34. Can you click on that and see how old she is real quick? 32. Okay, so she's 8-4. I think she's not won in the UFC yet. Okay, so Mandy Bohm, this is going to be not her debut. Mandy Bohm is 1-0. 1-0. She's 32 as well. Okay, so they're both 32. Oh no, and Mandy Bohm is 0-1. She lost to Ariane Lipski, who's tough but not a world beater. Yeah, and then let's say Leonardo. I think Leonardo's like 0-2 in the UFC. I'm pretty sure, and I'm right. So, and she's got stopped in both of her fights. Obviously Victoria's back is up against the wall a little bit more than Mandy's, being 0-2, and also the record 8-4, Mandy's 7-1. So Mandy can afford this loss more than Victoria, although both of them don't want to lose. You can't bet money on a fight like this, so because who knows? I mean, they're both going to be fighting hard, but
I have to agree.
Throw it up in the air and just pick, But yeah, I can't. There's no way to get a read.
There's not nearly enough information to figure it out.
Because of the better record, they probably are wanting Bohm to win, But anyway, who knows? Okay, so
let's look. The odds makers have Mandy winning, so yeah,
they do just slightly. All right, so
not that they mean anything on this one. I really don't think they.
No, there's no way to get a read on that fight. It's silly to bet on that.
So this one's actually an interesting one.
We had on the show, the Canadian Kyle the Monster Nelson. I don't think he's had a fight in the UFC for a couple of years. Did he go somewhere else, or has he just not fought for a couple of years?
He just hasn't fought for a couple of years.
He hasn't fought, for just almost 2 years solid. His record in the UFC is 1-3, I think, isn't it? Can you take a look?
Well, he was, if I remember correctly, wasn't he dropped?
I thought he was. Maybe he was. That might be why.
And he signed back on.
That's why. So let's go back. His record is 1-3 in the UFC. I'm pretty sure. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. No, he did beat Marco Polo Reyes, but he lost to Diego Ferreira. No shame in that. Matt Sales, no shame in that. Billy Q, no shame in that. They really matched him hard. They didn't do him any favors. They matched him with three really, really solid guys, and he did lose to them all by stoppage, and then he did get a win. I like him. He's a nice dude. How old is he now? 31, 32? 31. I like him. I mean, I think that this is a tough matchup, but let's see who he's going up against. Yeah, it's going to be Jai Herbert. So Jai Herbert is the Englishman in England, right? So hometown advantage for the 34-year-old. And what's he done lately? I do know he lost his last fight, didn't he? And he did. Ilia Topuria smashed him, but Ilia Topuria smashes everyone. Before that, he beat Kama. Yep, beat our friend Kama Worthy. And then, so they're both 1-3 in the UFC. and the younger man is Nelson. I'll tell you what, they both fought tough guys, and they were both stopped in all three of their losses. I honestly think this should be close, but it isn't. They're making the Brit 2-1 favorite, aren't they, or 2.5 to 1? I honestly think there's value in Nelson. what are the odds? Minus,
oh yeah, almost 2.5 to 1.
Yeah, that's like 2 3/4 to 1. I mean, you know what? The jet lag is a real thing. Going from Canada to England is a long trip. Probably that does give an advantage to Jai Herbert. His family's going to be there. This
is my dog pick on this card, though.
Yeah, I think Nelson's live here. I think, and I'll be sure.
I don't think he's just live. I think he's got it.
I think he can do it. I have nothing against Jai Herbert. I just don't know him personally. But Kyle's been on our show a couple times. He's a nice guy. Canadians, I haven't met a Canadian yet that I don't
He's
like.
one of, he's not just nice, but he's determined, man.
Yeah, he is.
Having been dropped from the card and then coming back.
Dropped from the organization.
Yeah, not from the card, but from the organization. And then coming back, man, his heart and soul's always been in it. I remember his kind of sucks post, and it's like, I'll be back. Don't worry about it, guys.
So, and only 31. He's still young. He's still relatively young.
There's no way that he wasn't getting highlights from the gym. So
he's gonna be fighting hard. I think Nelson is live here. The monster, go monster, man. All right, next fight. Wait a second here. Are they kidding? Charles Jourdain can't. No, he's not fighting again 2 weeks after he fought, is he? No,
Charles Johnson.
Charles Johnson, that's right. All right. Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, so Charles Johnson, somehow, we know someone that knows him. He's out of St. Louis. I think he's out of the James Krause gym. I think he's out of Glory, isn't he?
That's right.
Or is he? I think
he's out of St. Charles.
MMA. That's not Glory. That's not Glory, though. But someone we know.
I mean, it says St. Charles, but it is St. Charles is St. Louis area.
Right. So it could be Glory. Someone we know knows him and trains with him. The Energy is 11-2. This is his UFC debut, though, isn't it? Let's take a look. Yes, it is. So, but he's been fighting in LFA, a lot of LFA fights, and he's got a good record in the LFA. I think he's kind of a finisher, isn't he, for a flyweight? Look at that. Look at those finishes. Damn. Yeah, this dude finishes people at flyweight. So you know what?
He's got he's 5 knockouts, 3 submissions, only 3 decisions out of his 11 wins.
Right. It's tough. It's great.
Solid for this weight.
But I will tell you this. I believe that Mokaev has something like 15 wins in a row as a pro and 15 wins in a row as an amateur. Click on him. 7-0 in a pro, and I think he's like 15-0 as an amateur. Take a look.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or 18-0. I think like more than that. It's like 20. So the man is on like a 24-fight win streak, but only 7 of them are as a pro and only 1 in the UFC. He came in, though, and made short work of Cody Durden, and Durden's a tough dude. This guy is legit. He's only 25 years old or 26? Let's see.
He's 21.
21 years old? Dude, the guy's got 25 fights at 21 years. No, a bunch of them are amateur, but still, a lot of guys at 21 have 0 to 5 fights. Most guys at 21 have like maybe, 0 to 5 fights, including amateur and pro. This guy's got 7 pro fights and like 18
after. I agree with the odds makers on this one, Colin.
I tell you what, though, Johnson knows he's the they're not giving him much.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, and this would not be my dog pick this week. Anybody out there that pays attention, I'm gonna say
Mokaev. But you know what, Johnson is. I'm telling you what, Johnson's gonna be motivated as hell here.
No, I agree.
And this
definitely has a puncher's chance.
And this would be a huge statement if he beats Muhammad Mokaev. I tell you what.
I mean, motivation can win it.
It really can, So, in all honesty, I don't like laying minus 400, minus 500, especially on a guy with 1 fight. I know Mokaev's this shit, but you know what? You know me. I also don't like betting on guys under 25 years old. In fact, I don't like really betting on guys under 26 years old. So I'm not putting down Mokaev. He may be the next thing, man. And in all honesty, the way he's going, he could beat John Jones's 12-year standing record as the youngest possible champion. I think he's got maybe 1.5 years left to do it, or 2 years. But
$20 down to win 4 back.
To me, dog or pass, but I wouldn't bet very heavily on the dog. But I think Charles Johnson is a tough. I think he's going to have his moments. I don't know how many of them, but I think he's going to have some moments at least. Okay. Then we have Mason Jones and Ludovic Klein. This is an interesting one. If Ludovic Klein had not lost his last fight, and if he had won his last fight, this would be more of an even money proposition. But let's click on this. Let's go to Klein first. Ludovic Klein.
Ludovic Klein. Second.
No
All right,
problem.
I'm coming in through here.
No
here.
problem. You're coming in hot.
Clicking,
Coming in hot.
rolling.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Ludovic Klein is from somewhere in Europe. Not
on the card, I guess.
Is that off? It looks like that. Oh,
yeah.
Well, looks like that's off.
So
Bummer.
Next one is Jonathan Pierce
and Makwan Amirkhani. Okay, click on Amirkhani. Amirkhani won his last fight as a dog. I know that because I did not think he would win. Amirkhani went up against Mike Grundy, the tough Brit, and he just finished him early with an anaconda choke. If I remember correctly, that was a weird night where a lot of dogs were coming in. Before that, he had lost 3 in a row, and I think he's 2-4 in the UFC, isn't he?
That's the card, Colin. That's the card that I called this crazy dog.
Yeah.
And I would have been right, but I didn't have the time to put it
right.
down.
Yep. I think I remember. Yeah, there was dogs everywhere.
After my birthday, so it's oh man! But I picked them, and I would have walked away with I would have put down the $200. I told Colin I was going to do this. If I would have put down the $200, I would have walked away with I think it was 11,500.
Yeah, it was something amazing. So the man they call Mr. Finland and Amirkhani, I have a feeling he's got a Middle Eastern background. Definitely a good-looking fighter, but raised in Finland, and he's a tough guy, Mr. Finland. And I think that his opponent, did you want to look into that, or
yeah.
And he's 33 years old, and Amirkhani's opponent, Jonathan Pierce, is 30 years old, and this is a featherweight fight. JSP, they call him, instead of GSP. So I think I remember that I felt he did. He actually stopped Kai Kamaka.
I was going to say, we were going. We were thinking both going for Kai on that one. And
man, it looks like a lot of fun. And then he stopped Kai. He stopped Omar Morales, and then he just beat Christian Rodriguez. He had a loss to Joe Lozon. And that was that the fight I was at? No, that's the fight I was at in Boston. October 18th, 2019. I was there and saw Lozon finish him quickly, and then right after that fight, the dude was legit. It's like he just, and that was like a last-second fight in Boston, and you almost wonder if he didn't want to be the spoiler, because that did turn out to be Joe Lozon's last fight ever. They tried to get Joe Lozon set with 3 fights against Cowboy. The fight fell off 3 times, and now they're both retired. Anyway, JSP, Jonathan Pierce. I don't know. What are the odds on that one? I think this is an even money. I don't really get a great read on this fight. Jonathan Pierce, wow, they're making Pierce a substantial favorite. In all honesty, Amirkhani wasn't looking very good until he pulled off that quick finish in his last fight. So it's almost like they're kind of throwing that fight out. And I always say it's never smart to do that. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes a fight is a fluke. It was a weird night. The air was strange. The dogs were killing it, and the favorites were underperforming. But I don't know about that fight. I don't get much of a read. I'm thinking probably that Pierce wins, but Amirkhani looked damn good in that last fight, and that's representing Finland. So I don't know what that means, but good folks there. So, I don't think you have anything to add to that, right?
No.
Okay. So, Charles Rosa and Nathaniel Wood. This is an interesting fight. Let's go to Rosa. Rosa, the black belt in jiu-jitsu, Boston Strong, 35 years old, right? Or 36?
Yeah,
35. He's not been killing it in his comeback. He was off for several years and then came back. He did beat Manny Bermudez and knocked him out of the promotion. And then he did, unfortunately, run into a buzzsaw. Thug nasty Bryce Mitchell. Mitchell's on like a 6-fight.
His game has been lose one, win one, lose one,
win
one.
But let's look at the guys that he lost. Bryce Mitchell's on like a 6-fight win streak. And so he lost to Mitchell, no shame in that. He beat Kevin Aguilar. He lost to Derek Minner. He came back and he beat, who did he beat above Minner? You're going the wrong way a little bit. Okay, then he did beat Justin James. And then he lost to Damon Jackson and TJ Brown. I mean, he's in a little bit of a spot. He's 35 years old. He really kind of has to win here. This is not really a great spot. Nathaniel Wood, the Englishman in England, 28 years old, so he's 7 years younger. He did lose to, you know what? That Casey Kenny fight was very close. I felt that was very close. That could have been a win for Wood. It was really a good fight. In fact, I think I kind of maybe I thought that Wood won.
Yeah, you thought Wood won. But I remember you being like, "Oh, that was a bullshit."
I think it might have been.
You literally called me on that.
Yep. And so as I do sometimes, that was about a year and a half ago. So you know what? But you know what? I always say when these guys under 30 are off for a year or two, it's not always bad. When the guys over 35 are off for a year or two, it's mostly bad.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a case of the former. He's still 28, and so I'm going to bet you that they have Nathaniel Wood minus 300. Let's take a look. I'm betting you they do. Let's look at those fight odds. And Nathaniel Wood is minus.
I had it right here. Where did it go?
Oh wow, minus 500, minus 549, minus 600. I don't know about that, but I mean, I'll tell you what, Charles Rosa's back is against the wall. He's the better jiu-jitsu guy than Wood, but Rosa doesn't have a ton of wrestling. He's also 7 years older. I mean, I think Rosa's going to make a fight out of it. I don't think Rosa is just going to be, completely wiped out. But Nathaniel Wood should win that fight. I don't. Those are crazy odds. But in England, right? Nathaniel Wood's gonna have all his friends there.
I agree, close to the odds. Not exact. I think they have it a little
bit high, juiced up. He'll be able to wake up, eat his porridge if he likes it. I know our friend Chris Allen hates porridge over there in England, but you can eat your porridge, which is oatmeal here. And you have some tea and crumpets and some bangers and mash and some bubbles and squeak.
Do you care much about either of these two?
Anyway, okay. Well, you interrupted my menu of great British delicacies. They're not delicacies, but junk food, I guess. Anyway, so I think.
What about Australian?
Yeah,
Vegemite.
Get some Vegemite. Yeah, like that great song. I love when the Australian fighters come into. I come from a land down under. It's awesome. Speaking. Okay, so we have the Scotsman next. No, we don't. Yes, we do. No, we don't. Mason. Wait. All of a sudden, that fight is back. Ludovic Klein and Mason Jones.
Just in a different spot.
In a different spot. Okay, let's take a look at it. So Mason Jones is a wrestler, I believe. The Dragon is from Wales. So again, someone fighting in their backyard. And is this his debut though? I think this is either his debut or he's only had a couple UFC fights. Actually, he's 1-1-1. 1 win, no contest, and 1 loss.
That's almost unheard of for a start.
That is a weird start, isn't it? Now, Mr. Highlight is 27 years old. He was killing it. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think he had 2 or 3 wins in a row in the UFC. No, he didn't. He won his first fight against Shane Young. He did lose to Michael Trezano. No shame. Michael Trezano's a good fighter.
And
Nate Landwehr. And then he came back and beat Devontae Smith. It's weird. Oh, that's Mason Jones. Okay, so I thought we were looking at Klein, but this is Mason Jones here, right or not? Let's see.
That's Mr. Highlight.
Oh, it is. Okay, okay. I didn't. So you know what? I forgot about the Devontae Smith fight. That was really close. I know that he did get just out grappled and dominated to an extent by Nate Landwehr, who is a rugged, tough son of a bitch. And then he did beat Devontae, though. So Ludovic is a tough guy.
He's the new cowboy.
Yeah. So Ludovic Klein is a tough guy. How old is he? 27 years old? And he's got like 22 fights. All right. And so let's look again at Mason Jones. Mason Jones is 27 years old as well. He only has 12 fights. So almost double the fights Ludovic Klein has. So the record here, we said 1-1-1. You know what? I think this is a close fight. For some reason, though, the odds makers don't feel so, do they? What the F is that?
I think it's Ludovic, actually.
Something's wrong with that line. They think Ludovic Klein can't even fight?
It's another dog pick I'm going
with. I think Klein is very live. You know what? Here's the funny thing. Have you ever noticed, and I'm not talking anything about or alluding to anything with regarding any fixed fights or anything, because I don't believe that myself. But have you ever noticed that you go to a country outside the USA and the card is stacked with guys from that country? They usually win at like an 80% clip. And I don't know whether it's that just having their relatives there, they're fighting with more pride or more pressure, or the fact they get to stay at their mom's house and have mom's cooking for breakfast, or their wife's cooking, or whatever. You know, it's a better situation. You don't have the jet lag, you know, so on and so forth. But probably a truckload of Brits are going to win in this card. And that's what I think maybe the thinking here. They're probably figuring,
absolutely,
you know, well, but I think Ludovic Klein has a very good chance. I don't think
I'm actually going for it on that one.
Yeah, I think very possible
on that one.
Very possible.
So let's make it real quick. We've got about 3 minutes here, so I'm just gonna go through and ask you
my picks.
Yeah, ask you your picks. Paul Craig,
the Scotsman, Paul Craig. I think he should be They've got Oezdemir, the favorite in that fight. I got the Scotsman, Paul Craig. It's going to be a tough fight, but I got Paul Craig.
Goldie McCann.
Oh, man. I think it's going to be closer than those odds look, but Molly McCann in England, she fights with so much passion.
I agree on
Meatball
that one.
Molly, yeah.
Ooh, Gustafsson against Krylov.
This is so weird. Krylov has been in kind of a losing streak, and Gustafsson has only fought like once in 5 years and had retired. I have no idea. Probably, I can't call that one. That's going to be somewhat close. I mean, it's, you know, the odds makers have that close, do they? Krylov and Gustafsson, they do. Oh wow, they've got Krylov about 2-1. I don't know. You know, I mean, if Alex is feeling good and the time off has helped him, yeah, I'd go. I maybe put a little half a unit on Alex. I don't have a great read on that fight though, because how do you have a read when someone hasn't fought in 3 years? Right. Patty Pimblett should definitely beat Jordan Levitt. If it comes into a grappling contest, yeah. If it's a grappling contest, it could get interesting for a minute. But if Patty can stay away, he'll pick apart the man they call the Monkey King.
I agree with the odds on that one.
Yeah. And then Chris Curtis, my man, Chris Curtis, we are close to getting him on the show. We just got to kind of arrange a couple things schedule-wise with his management. But Chris is killing it. He fought a few weeks ago, though. This is an interesting fight. Dr. Adam Roorda. Chris is the stocky striker with good wrestling defense, right? And he's short, he's young, not that young actually. He's short, he's fresh, and he likes to strike and he can mess you up. Jack Hermanson, I think, is probably 5 inches taller than him, and is a really good jiu-jitsu player, especially with leg locks. If Hermanson cannot get the fight to the ground, he is going to be busted up. But if he can, and especially if he can get on top, Chris Curtis better be looking to explode up. I don't like the fact that Hermanson has had like several months to rest up, and Chris fought a few weeks ago. I never really like that, but sometimes it works out. I don't want to play that. Even I think if Chris had 2 or 3 months to rest, he'd probably be favored. But then again, he's jumping up in class. Hermanson is so much more experienced, and I think he's
dead even. I actually agree with that. It's dead even.
It's too close. There's no way, right? There's no way we're going to know which way that's going to go. Maybe live betting might be the thing there. If what starts going one guy's way, maybe take advantage of plus 300 or plus 400, and then watch the tides turn.
Right. You know, so we talked about it earlier. Blades versus Aspinall.
Curtis Blades. You know, we're with Curtis all the way. Aspinall's scary. He's a scary dude. He's so balanced. But I think Curtis is going to do it. I think this is Curtis's time. I don't really love when someone comes into the UFC and is fighting for like a #1 contender spot after 4 or 5 wins. I know people are going to say, Colin, what the hell? Do you want 12 wins or 18 wins? No, I'm not saying that. But it's just been such a quick ascension for Aspinall. No hate, and I love my British friends, but I think Curtis has really paid his dues more, fought the tougher guys. I think this is Curtis's time. I think he's going to wrestle him, and it's going to be the American wrestling dominant in this fight. It's a scary fight. It's going to be a tough one.
Here's my parlay for this week. It's going to be Kyle Nelson, Curtis Blades, and I'm going to go second round knockout Patty Pimblett.
Nice. I like it.
All right. So we got Mr. Lido ready to go. Send in us a message.
Excellent.
We are ready to bring the next one in almost right away.
Yep.
Hello.
Hey, Chris, how are you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you perfectly. All we need to do, you hit it right there. You got the video, and video's on. Perfect. We'll give you the proper introduction, as I always do on my show. And everyone watching, ladies and gentlemen, super happy to have this next guest on the show. Winner of 6 Fight of the Night bonuses in the UFC. More recently, and probably more importantly to him, the color commentator. And the man can also do play-by-play, everything at Bare Knuckles Boxing Championship, BKFC. Man's got so much great stuff going. This is a man that nobody dislikes, and I think nobody disrespects, and they better not if they want to keep their teeth. We're talking about the man they call Lights Out, Chris Lytle. Thanks so much for coming back on the show, my friend.
Of course, my friend. Long time no talk to. How you been?
Doing pretty well, man. We're hanging in there. We're in California, where we have an extra $1.50 gas tax. So when you guys in the Midwest are not happy with $4.50, we're not happy with $6 for our gas, which really sucks ass, as well as the high food prices. And with the heat out here, people are kind of walking around on their last nerves. Everyone's kind of acting like they got a fight coming up in an octagon behind the wheel out here. Even women, But yeah, women do have fights in the octagon. So yeah, it's all right. I'm hanging in. How about you, man? You've got a lot of good stuff going, though. I mean, let us know what's been going on, because I know you got the Lights Out bourbon and some other stuff. Give us some updates on that and BKFC and everything going on in your world.
Yeah, first of all, there's got to be a trade-off for that good weather you got out in California.
Yes.
You can't have low prices and good weather. It's one or the other.
Yeah, you're right. It wouldn't be fair. Wouldn't be fair otherwise. I agree.
Yeah, so you got that. I'm really busy, like you said. I got a thing I started a while ago called Lights Out Bourbon. A friend of mine, owns a bar. I was there drinking bourbon a lot, and he's like, "Man, I got a guy. We can start your own label." About 2 years ago, we started doing this. So finally, it took a while. We got it going on, and I love it. So, I got something next week. 2 things next week I'm doing with that. Would be doing one this week. However, I am going to Tampa for BKFC Tampa this week. Man, if you're not watching Bare Knuckle, you got to get into it, man. I haven't talked to too many people who watch it for the first time and don't want to watch it again.
Absolutely.
I mean, it takes a lot of the positive. The thing I've noticed about MMA a lot at the highest level, it seems to have gotten in a way the same problem as boxing gets into, where the money is on the line. People are just worried about one thing only. I got to win at all costs. I don't care if this is entertaining. I'm going to be strategic. I'm going to try and maximize my time I'm on top, or whatever it is. But Bare Knuckle doesn't have that. You got 2 guys who just want to go out there and punch the other guy in the face, which I love. It's very exciting. A lot of times people with MMA, they're booing when it gets to the ground or people aren't engaged, and you don't get a lot of that. We got 2-minute rounds, and they're a lot of fun, and you only got 5 of them, 10 minutes, and people are exhausted at the end, so people are coming to fight. I love doing the Bare Knuckle stuff. It's kind of my favorite thing to commentate right now.
Absolutely. And you fought, I think, 3 Bare Knuckle fights before you were a commentator, right?
Man, what's funny is I'm just like everybody else. When I first heard it, I saw a thing on Facebook like Joe Riggs does bare knuckle fighting in London. I'm like, what? And I was like, Joe, you're a legit fighter. What are you doing bare knuckle for? And
right.
I pictured these guys in a warehouse.
Right, in some dirt or something, right?
Like, okay, so I watched it, and about halfway through the fight, I remember I looked at the guy next to me and like, who do I talk to get into it? Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, this isn't what I thought. I wanted to try it. I've had like a bunch of pro boxing, a bunch of MMA. I was like, this is just something I have to try at one time. Got a hold of them, finally got over to London, got a fight, and then tried to come back to the States and get it done, and they wouldn't. I couldn't get it legalized, and then about 6 months later, BKFC got it legalized, and so I started fighting with them. But then I was like, hey, I'm getting older, my body, I just wanted to do the commentary angle. So I've had 3 bare knuckle fights, 15 pro boxing, and about 7 MMA. So I figure I'm kind of uniquely qualified to talk about it.
Absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, none better. I was talking to John Fitch the other day, your fellow Indiana boy, and and I asked him if he had a chance to watch you on there, and he said, yeah. He said, I love the commentary that Chris does on BKFC.
That's pretty awesome to hear, man. I mean, but I was pretty fortunate when I first got in there. I had Sean Wheelock as my play-by-play guy, and he's really, really good. And he was just like, hey, man, you've cornered a lot of people in fights. Like, I've been cornered for 20-something years. He's like, just pretend like you're cornering, and except for you're doing both sides right now. And you don't wait to say it. I'm like, all right, cool, So I say what they're doing right, and then I say what I think they should be doing that they're not doing. And you know, I mean, so it's always funny. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. I'm just trying to say, hey, man, I think he should be stepping in on this jab or whatever. And I always get people afterwards are like, man, I was trying to do that. They like defend themselves like, man, hey, don't take offense to this. I'm just saying what I see out there. I mean, I watch my own fights. I critique myself. You should be critiqued. You know what I mean? So,
yep, exactly.
Yeah, it's just funny when you say stuff, people get offended sometimes. I'm like, I ain't trying to offend you, man. I'm just trying to tell you what I see.
Yeah, and and it's a better situation that you were in there and you did it yourself with bare knuckle and spent years in MMA. So I think less fighters will feel disrespected from you if they know who you are because of the fact that you were in there. I think a lot of fighters really hate hearing casuals or people that never fought talking mad trash, and I don't blame them. You know what I mean? It's disrespectful. But no, you're A, you know your stuff, and B, you've been there and done that. So it just would be kind of stupid if someone wants to try to give you heat. But I guess sometimes everyone wants themselves to be made to look good by everyone around them, I guess, when they're in the limelight, and it is what it is. Real quick, I gotta ask you, on the Chris Lights Out Lights Out bourbon, I don't know if it's the same image on every bottle. I think it may be, but that image where you had just won a UFC fight and you were leaning forward, and I think there was like a little blood on you. Do you remember what fight that was from?
Oh, I 100% remember that fight, and I gotta correct you. That wasn't even a win. That was a loss. It was in the middle of a fight there, and it was when I fought Josh Koscheck. And the funny thing about that is it shows a little bit of blood on there. Well, actually, when we turned the real picture in, and said this is our label, they kind of came back and said the artist who drew that put too much blood on there, and we're like, that's a picture.
Right. I love it.
They made us take some of the blood off. They said there's too much blood. So I was like, okay. So we took some off, made it more of an artist rendition. And
right.
So that's actually a loss. I lost that fight, but it was just it was a banger, where I come out there and I'm bleeding all over the place. And I got up and they're like, that kind of says it all about, what I feel like.
Yep.
I'm about when it comes to fighting. I'm not going to quit. I don't care if I'm cut, bleeding, dying. I'm fighting no matter what, So exactly. I feel like that bourbon is something that's kind of smooth. I feel like I'm pretty smooth. It's strong. I feel like I'm pretty strong. So it's 100 proof. It's very good, but man, you drink it and you don't have that taste that makes you, oh, I mean, it's so smooth.
Nice.
And that's why I put my name on it. I was like, when we started doing that, I went around, tasted probably, 100 different bourbons, and kind of came up with what I like, and then we kind of reverse engineered it. We got 75% corn, 24% rot, or 21% rot. Just kind of went around and made it everything I wanted.
Nice. How do people get a hold of that if they want to just get it for themselves, or if they're hoping that their local store will carry it?
Well, right now we're still. I mean, this is like a homegrown product. You know what I mean? So I'm in a lot of the places around the Indianapolis area. The thing I didn't realize is going out, you have to get a different distributor for every state you're in. So right now, I've just been concentrating on Indiana. I got it up in northern Indiana. I'm getting people in southern Indiana. I haven't got it hooked up there yet, but getting down to southern Indiana here soon. I'm in a lot of central Indiana. So I know you can go to Conn's Fine Wine and Spirits, and they'll ship it anywhere in the country. Well, not anywhere. Some states you can't ship it to. I don't know, but if you go to Conn's Fine Wines and Liquor, they'll ship it to wherever, almost.
Gotcha. And the sound flares a little bit when you're saying that. Are you saying Tom's, T-O-M-S?
K-A-H-N apostrophe S.
Cons, K-H-A-N apostrophe S. Is that right?
Yeah, if you're a bourbon guy, I think you really enjoy it. Like I said, 100 proof, pretty strong at a very reasonable price. But it's just, I mean, I can drink that all the time, man. I can just get my big fat ice cube and pour me a drink and just sip on it for a little bit, man. It's fantastic.
Nice. And you said Cons something in liquor?
Cons Fine Wine and Liquor.
There we go. K-H-A-N apostrophe S, Fine Wine and Liquor. Sounds great. Yeah, that sounds like some really good stuff. I know quality is important to you, so I know that's there. BKFC coming up in Las Vegas. I hate to put you on the spot because you're involved in a lot of stuff and you're always ready to do the commentary, but would you remember any of the people that are featured on the card coming up here in Vegas?
You say BKFC?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. That's in Tampa.
In Tampa. That's right. I'm sorry. Who's
really
on that
excited
card?
About that. We got a title fight going on right there. We have the 135-pound title between Reggie Barnett Jr. and Jared Grant. Jared is an intern title holder right now. Johnny Bedford is still out, but has been out for a while. So Grant's like, hey, I'm defending the intern title. No, I'm the champ.
Nice.
And Reggie Barnett Jr. has, I think he's 5-2 right now in this sport. This will be his 8th fight. And only 2 times he's lost has been to the champ.
Bedford,
So I mean, man, he's about as good as it gets. We're going to see how good Jared Grant is. Jared has been phenomenal so far, undefeated. But, man, it's a really good fight. And there's just several – it's really getting neat with the bare knuckle because there used to be a lot of new guys, and now we're getting a lot of guys who've had 3, 4, 5, 6 fights when it comes to bare knuckles. So, just very good cards. They're going to be fun.
Excellent. And I think you can get a pay-per-view very reasonably priced. How do you do that? Do you have you get a package, or how does one watch BKFC events?
I mean, I'm kind of upset with BKFC because they're to me they're giving their product away.
Yeah.
You don't even have to do pay-per-view. Basically, you buy the app for $4.99 a month, and you get every fight for free.
Wow.
I mean, so basically, we're putting on about 2 fights a month. You're basically getting every fight for $2.50.
Wow.
I mean, it's by far the cheapest. For the price for the whole year, it's cheaper than one real pay-per-view UFC. I'm like, dude, we're putting on banger fights. They're fantastic. They're fun. I mean, for the money, we're by far the best deal.
Absolutely.
But go to the BKFC app, and, you can put it on any smart TV or any phone or anything like that and watch it. And, man, it's very entertaining.
Absolutely. Any bare knuckles fighters that remind you of like a young Chris Lytle?
I don't know if I'd say young. We got a lot of bangers out there. We got a lot of guys who just want to come and throw down. A lot of them, man, and that was really always something. That was how I always want to fight.
So they remind you of a current Chris Lytle.
And look, we have a lot of good. Pardon me?
They kind of run you with them like a current. You're right. A lot of these guys are, well, they're not like a young Chris Lytle, but they may be a little bit younger than you now, but not necessarily super young. I see what you're saying. So who are the guys that remind you of maybe a 35-year-old Chris Lytle or 39-year-old Chris Lytle?
Let me think. I mean, we just signed. We got our biggest fight coming up. We got a Mike Perry. He's getting ready to fight.
MVP. Yeah, MVP. Michael Venom Page.
Yeah, that's going to be a great fight. I've liked what I see from, what we got from Mike Perry. The dude just comes out, walks through punches, tries to bang and knock your head off. Unfortunately, I think I had a little bit too much of that in me right as it. And I'm like, you're not going to knock me out, so I'm just going to try and out-tough you, man. I think I did that a little too much instead of trying to be slick. Wasn't the smartest tactic, but man, I love fighting like that. So I think I went in there with that mentality a little bit too much.
Yeah, I hear you, but you did well. You were always in great fights, and your skill was definitely really, really good and up there. Mike Perry, did you see a statement he made, I think, about the MVP fight? I may be slightly wrong in quoting what he said, so no one should quote me on this, but I almost feel like he said something like he wants to break MVP's hands with his face.
Well, that's an interesting tactic. I don't think I'd agree with that one.
Right.
A little too much of my me being more mature now and older and thinking through. It's so funny, man. Me and Sean Willock, we do interviews with every fighter before every fight, so we're talking to everybody, and you'd be amazed at how many people come and go, man, I'm just going to trade punches. I'll take one to give one. And usually the second fight when we interview them, they go, man, you can't get hit in this sport.
No.
Yeah, I know. It's not the same. You're going to get cut open quick. You should not trade in this. I mean, you have to come forward, but you got to be smart about it. You got to come behind the jab. You got to come with head movement. You don't walk straight forward and trade punches because you're going to lose if you do that more often than not. So it's always funny. The learning curve is very quick.
Absolutely. Now, most people know that like the top of your head is going to be more solid than the back of your head or the lower part of your head as it connects to your face, right? Yeah, up there. And so do you find that some guys are trying to lower their face so their head is absorbing the shots in hopes of maybe the other guy breaking his hands on their head?
I haven't seen much of that because, man, it's kind of hard to put your head down there, and you got to be careful because if you know that guy's going to fake, come with some uppercuts, punch you.
Right.
I mean, it's funny when you take a look at the old fighters with the dances like this.
Right,
you know,
John L. Sullivan. Yeah.
Wild punches that hit the top of the head and the side of the head, breaks your head. But you these straight punches, uppercut. I mean, it's a different style, but there's a method behind that madness, and because it was all about preserving your hands and preserving your face. So these guys, there's a reason why they did it that way.
Yeah, makes sense. I think you recently signed a few people. You got Felice Herrig from the UFC. She's tough, the little bulldog. I think she may have been just getting to the UFC when you were leaving, or you may have just missed her, but right, I know you're familiar with her. And she started in Muay Thai very young, and she always was good at the striking. She became a pretty good wrestler, but she's excited. These are some tough girls, and I like that you guys are signing girls that are exciting, that are charismatic. I know looks shouldn't be necessarily part of it, but you know, you got to have some marketing. So you guys do have some charismatic, good-looking girls that can really bang, and I like that Britton Hart, who is now Britton Beltran, and then you got Taylor Starling, right, and you got several others. I think you got obviously the Aussie, you know, Rowdy Beck Rawlings, and I think Felice is going to be a great addition. Is she going to be in the same weight with all those girls, or I'm sure she could be, right?
I think so. Don't forget Paige Van Zant's fighting here in London as well, so we still have her. And say what you will, man. I mean, we have got a lot of girls out there at 125 who, you know, they look the part, but man, they bang. They're probably our most entertaining fighters. 125-pound females might be our best weight class. Yeah. The whole organization, it is fantastic. They put on some of the best fights sometimes, and people want to see it. You know, they got good personalities. They're fantastic. So we've done a really good job. And I was always a fan of Felice Herring, but when I saw that she said, I'm done with UFC, I'm retiring, but she'd still do boxing, it's like, perfect. This would be right up her alley. You know, what a good signing for her. And here's the thing. I think a lot of fighters, especially when you get into the mid-30s, you've been training for 15, 20 years, your body starts to really hurt. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get through an MMA camp. It really is. Just the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, the kickboxing, everything. Yeah. All of a sudden, you go bare knuckle. It's like, I got these two hands to worry about. That's it. So much easier on your body. So my thought is, you get people like, I didn't have my first bare knuckle fight until I was like 43, you know? Right. So, I mean, people in their mid-30s, it can prolong their career, I'm thinking, for probably 5 years. If I was 35 and this would have came out, you wouldn't have seen me doing MMA. I mean, I've been so happy being in there doing bare knuckle. It wasn't around then. So it's really cool being involved in the start of another sport. I mean, I was around when UFC was very early, very, you know, still growing. So to have it, you know, a bare knuckle thing, I feel like this is my second coming to be around a new sport. It's awesome. I know what I'm looking for this time. I appreciate a lot more. I keep telling people when we'll be after the fights, we'll be at hotels hanging out. People will be hanging out drinking beers or whatever. I'm like, man, you guys got to enjoy this because it ain't going to happen in 10 years. Everybody's going to be out doing their own after-fight party, and people won't be hanging out. And they're like, what? I'm like, man, you just don't get it because I saw this with UFC. Yep. This is going to grow up, and it's going to be different, and you got to appreciate it right now. Without a doubt. It's almost like the old days with the tap-out guys, Mask, and, you know, and Punk Ass and Skyscraper and those other guys, you know, where it was like a little family, you know, because hardly anyone knew what it was. Remember, I'm sure you remember, you'd tell someone, you know, about back then NHB fighting, and they would say, what's that? And you'd say, and they'd say, is that underground fighting where the guys are killing each other? And, you know, you had to say, no, it is not underground. It's in arenas. And then they're like, what arenas? I haven't seen it in Vegas and Atlantic City. And you had to say, well, it's because it's over in Wyoming and Alabama. But, you know, even in those places, though, it was legit. But, yeah, it was just like a small family there. I remember, you know, even if you weren't a fighter like me, but you trained, if you wore a shirt and you saw someone else wearing a shirt, you'd, hey, are you into the no-holds-barred fighting? Yeah, man, did you see that last one? You know? And then you can make friends. I've got a friend from mine for like 22 years now that I met coming out of a post office. And I had an AMC Pancration shirt
that I got from Matt Hume. Yep, remember that?
Yeah.
That was the one with the Roman warriors, the two gladiators, right? And yeah, and he said, "Oh man, are you trainer there?" And I said, "I never lied." I said, "No, I don't train over there, but I'm a big fan of like Hume and Josh Barnett, and and guys that were training out of there." And yeah, so the good times. And yeah, you're right. I think right now is the time where the bare knuckles is like a family situation, and it would be definitely enjoying it together. And so, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just say, what you're talking about when you used to tell people, hey, you're fighting a cage, they looked at you like you had two heads. They'd be like,
right.
Walk away.
Yep.
Like you were nuts. It wasn't accepted. It wasn't mainstream at all. And it was kind of cool being there as that transition happened and it changed. But now it's cool to be back in this other, and the funny thing is you talked about punk ass, being a big with Tap Out. Well, he's now a sponsor of BKFC, but he's got a new line out. It's called Lions Not Sheep. So he's, I think he sees what I see, and he's like, man, I want to get back. And that was a fun part of the UFC before it blew up, not afterwards.
Right.
He wants to be back at the beginning stage and this nice new rawness. And that's why he's with us, man. And I'm like, man, I just like seeing old school guys like me because there's not many of us who were there, who were around back at the beginning of the UFC. So it's awesome to have another person like me there. I love it.
Absolutely, very good stuff. Well, speaking about UFC, we don't want to give too much time there because we're definitely happy to go over all the BKFC, but it wouldn't be MMA Power Hour if I didn't get your opinion on a couple of these upcoming UFC fights. So first, let me ask you. I was telling my producer and co-host, Dr. Adam Roorda, that you ever notice, and this is true, I think, in boxing as well, but let's look at MMA. If you go out of the country and you go into a different country and you stack that card with fighters from that country, almost every time they win 70 to 80% of the fights. Now, I know jet lag is a real thing. I'm not thinking anything about fixed fights. I think guys are getting to sleep at home, having their wife make their breakfast, having their mom make their breakfast that they're used to eating, but they have the kind of pressure of all their fans and their friends watching them, and they fight harder. But it seems like almost every time more than 50% of the local guys win. So in this card in England, you got a bunch of British guys on the card, and more than likely a lot of them will win. I'm sure there's going to be one day that there's going to be a weird card where almost all the local guys lose, but right? But I don't know if it's going to be this time. So the jet lag. Now, a lot of these guys are just 25 years old, 30 years old, 35 maybe. But still, I guess when you're going to Europe on a long flight and you're fighting a guy who lives there, who's just taken, the subway or driving or walking to the arena, there is a decided advantage for the local guy. But how much of an advantage is it? And does it affect different guys differently and different girls differently? Or is it probably going to be a similar thing for all the people that are not living there that have that sort of disadvantage?
I wouldn't say it's a jet lag factor at all, just due to the fact that, they're smart enough. They get you there in enough advance time. Okay. I remember my first time flying to Japan, like the first day, the second day I got there, I went and worked out. And I remember after like 2 minutes, I was tired. I'm like, what the hell? What's wrong with me? And I went the next day and worked out again. I was tired again. I was like, I'm not in shape. What's wrong? I was in shape a week ago. What's happening? Right. It was that jet lag. And it took it a few days. And by about the fourth day, I was like, okay, I feel good now. So I think the UFC is smart. If they get people there in plenty of time, to acclimate, to get used to it. So I don't think that's it. I think a big part of it is even when you're fighting somebody from the States, if you fight in your hometown, I think a lot of times, that really gets you. Fighting is so mental, and like I'm fighting for my territory. It's even worse when you're fighting somebody from another country. Like they're invading my country, think they're going to come here and beat me. Right. You get mentally really fired up, and you kind of fight your best. I think when you have that situation, that especially when somebody else from your country wins, and then it's all mental. You're like, oh my guy won here, and then it starts to snowball, and you just fight well. I feel like. Right. I don't know. I've went over to other places a lot, and I've fought other places. Obviously won some, lost some, but I really don't think it's really the jet lag or whatever that has anything to do. Now, here's another thing. I've lost a couple of split decisions in other countries, and At first I'm always thinking those refs are screwing me because I'm not from here. Well, the older I get, what I realize is they're not looking at it like that. I mean, a referee, or not referee, a judge is just like anybody else, and they get affected by the crowd. So, I remember a couple of times I'm throwing punches, I'm landing good punches, and like nothing, crickets, nobody's cheering, but they're bam. I'm like, man, the other person would throw a kick and I'd block it, and the crowd erupts. The referee, like if a judge doesn't see it perfectly, they just hear a smack and they see the crowd go nuts. That affects them, So
right.
In close fight, I think the hometown guy has a huge advantage because the crowd, the judges are human and they get affected by the atmosphere as well. So I think that's another reason why some people win some fights. But I really do think fighters fight better when they're in their hometown. They're really dialed in.
Yeah, sleep in your own bed, eat the normal food you eat, and drink the normal water you drink. Yeah, I agree. So this is a card in England. They're starting to have more and more fights there. They've got some popular people. They got this Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, who's a Scouser from Liverpool, like the Beatles. His haircut is almost even like the Beatles from back in the 60s. Very cool dude, young guy. He did pay his dues for years. One of the cool things I heard about him was, even though I think he's only like 26 now or something, I think they asked him to jump into the UFC when he was 24 or something, and he said, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm not seasoned yet for that. And so he did have the wisdom to kind of say, let's hold off. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And since he's in the UFC, he's looking really good. He is got a fight against Jordan Levitt, the man they call the Monkey King. He's favored by about minus 285. Jordan King is a grappler. Jordan Levitt is a grappler. Yeah. And I think if Pimblett were to get too cocky and say, let's just play your game, if Pimblett agreed not to throw any punches, he could lose that fight. But obviously he's not going to agree to do that. And I think with all the hype, I think also the Pimblett corner, not that they're trying to protect him, but I don't think they would take a fight that they felt he was in huge danger at this point, right? So this should be Paddy Pimblett all the way in that fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. But I mean, I just from watching what Jordan Levitt has said, I mean, I like a lot of how he's handling himself. I like what he's saying. I mean, to me, he acts like he's a favorite. You know what I mean? He feels like they made a mistake by picking him. You say there's a lot of easy fights. This ain't one of them. If I get you the ground, I think he feels highly confident he has a good chance of winning. So
yep.
I'm saying I'm picking Paddy, but 280 to me seems like a kind of a lot.
Yeah. They're not giving. Yeah, that doesn't give too much of a chance for Levitt. And in the grappling, he is the better grappler, arguably. Everyone always says a lot of these strikers are amazing grapplers, but you just don't see it. But if you don't see it, how can you know, right? So I think we've seen Levitt grapple. So yeah, that should be interesting. Okay, so Pimblett, but with a little closer than the odds would show. I would agree. Yeah. Molly McCann is his good friend. She is so tough. Meatball Molly. She fights with a lot of passion. They're also making her kind of a prohibitive favorite. Minus 400 against Hannah Goldie. I think Hannah Goldie is a tough fighter. She's only had, I think, 3 UFC fights, whereas Molly's had like 8 UFC fights or 9 and more overall fights. Molly fights with such passion, and she's in England. I think that's probably maybe even more accurate. A big favorite, Molly McCann, who should win that fight. Although Hannah's tough. What do you think?
Yeah, she's tough. But here's where you got, to me, when you have somebody who has 8 fights in the UFC compared to somebody who has 3, that experience factors is pretty huge, especially going over to another country, especially fighting in somebody's backyard. I think that really swings it over to Molly's favor, which is why the odds are so big.
I think so. All right, Chris, we only want to keep you for 5 more minutes, so I'm going to ask you these next few fights quickly. Dr. Adam Roorda, I hate to ask, but if you can put the odds back on there so I can see what we're looking at. Thank you. So give me maybe a minute or less on this. Paul Craig has been coming up with these great submissions. He's got Volkan Oezdemir, who's really not been doing that well lately. But I think because of the fact that maybe it's a step up in class slightly, they're making Oezdemir the favorite anywhere from -160 to -180, even though the other man is the guy on the 5-fight win streak. I think Paul Craig is live. I think this is a big, tall, tough guy. He's from Scotland, so England is close enough to being his backyard. And I think that Oezdemir has proven that he's maybe not as good as he once was. I think Paul Craig is a live dog here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one right there for me, because a lot of times you get a guy who's won 5 in a row and you're thinking, man, they're on a streak. Yeah, they are, but it's hard to win 6 in a row. You know what I mean? So that's very tough, especially when people start winning 6, 7, 8 in a row. I'm just looking for them to lose at some point, because it's so tough to beat that many good people. This is a step up in competition for them. We're going to look at all the factors. I think it's a pretty decent bet saying he's a live dog, which he is. But, man, it's just hard to win that many. I do like the fact that he's won 5 in a row, and he's kind of in his hometown or in his backyard more so. But that's a fight I'd probably stay away from, because I think it looks too good to be true, man. It's like he's an underdog and he's won 5 in a row. I just stay away from that one personally.
Gotcha. Okay, co-main and main event. Give me like maybe 30 seconds or so on each. Chris Curtis fought like 4 weeks ago only.
Yeah.
He's on like a 4-fight win streak. Killer. Anti-wrestling. His defense is great. He's a short, stocky guy, but he's quick, athletic, great striker. Jack Hermanson, the European, who's primarily a jiu-jitsu guy. They've got that even money. What do you think?
Man, I've been really impressed with Chris Curtis. Like I said, his ability to stop takedowns has been phenomenal. If he can stop, that's what this is all about. If he can stop this takedown and keep it on his feet, he's going to win. If not, he's going to struggle. That's in my opinion. So, will he be able to stop it? I think he's proven that he has been able to lately. Last time he avoided, I think, 11 takedowns.
Yep.
I think he has a pretty good chance on this one. Even money, I'd probably swing his way, but Hermanson's tough.
He is.
Not for anybody. So
he is, and it's a jump in class. And also, I hate when a guy has to fight 4 weeks later. That's not always a great thing for a fighter. Last one, Curtis Blades and Tom Aspinall. I'm biased here because we've interviewed Curtis 3 times, and he's such a nice guy. He's paid his dues. I like when a guy pays his dues, and he's the better wrestler. They're both about 6'5", big kids. Curtis is, I think, 31. Aspinall, I think, is 29. Aspinall's in his backyard. Aspinall is a really balanced guy. Jiu-jitsu, I think he's a brown belt or maybe black. He's got some wrestling, not as good as Curtis, but his striking is arguably better than Curtis's. And he's on like a 6-fight win streak. What do you think? And they got the favorite. They've got Aspinall, slight favorite here.
I lost you. Go ahead.
No problem. So they got Aspinall, a slight favorite in his backyard against Curtis Blades. What do you think? It should be an interesting, big fat. The winner probably gets a title shot, though, so there's so much on the line here.
I mean, to me, Blades is he's a tough matchup for anybody. I mean, that kind of wrestling ability, and he shows he has power, too. I mean, that's going to be a very interesting fight. I wouldn't go against Blades at any time. I think Aspinall has a very good chance to win, but I think Blades really has a better chance overall beating anybody for the title personally. I think it's a very tight fight. It's kind of interesting because, like I said, I think this is a very tough fight for Curtis Blades, but if he wins this, I think he has a chance to win the title. Absolutely,
and I think he's got to wrestle here, don't you think?
Oh, 100, of course. That's what but I mean, I don't know. It's a very tough fight for him, but yeah, Aspinall's just so – and he's dangerous, so that's a really interesting fight.
It is, absolutely. Well, let us know again, BKFC in Tampa. When is that, and how we can watch it?
Saturday night, baby. Get the BKFC app. Like I said, $4.99 a month, and if you don't get that's the best deal in combative sports without a doubt. And then August 20th, we're going to be in London. That's the best card we've ever put on. I mean, going over to London, I cannot wait for that one. Like I said, MVP versus Perry, that's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. And you've got your Chris Lights Out Lytle bourbon. And for people to hit you up, what's the best social media place where people can learn more about getting that?
Oh, man, anybody who ever hits me up on Instagram, I talk to them, man. Chris Lights Out Lytle.
Awesome. We really appreciate you, man. Chris, you're a great guy and a legendary fighter. Huge respect to you always. Really appreciate you taking the time, man.
My man, thank you.
You got it. Have a great night. Chris Lights Out Lytle, and always glad to have him, man. He's such a good guy, super knowledgeable. He's really killing it on the mics in that BKFC, isn't he, Adam?
Man, yeah, well, he's always killing it. He's so knowledgeable about this game. One of the most knowledgeable men, a legend in his own right, and always glad to have him back on as I don't want to call him repetitive, a repeating guest.
Somewhat regular guest.
Yeah.
And we really are grateful for that. Yeah, talk about a guy that's got some balls of steel, though, to jump into bare knuckles boxing right when it came out here about 8 years ago or 6 years ago, when the man was 42 or 3. Guys who were 25 were like, nah, I'm not even, don't even talk to me bare knuckles boxing, man. And then 40s, the guy, he's a stud. He's a serious badass.
Yeah, he's a legend. And I got to wrap it up here, Colin, but everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in to another amazing episode. Check out Lith Token. It's LITH token.io. The ticker symbol is LITX on Bitmart. You can get it there if you are interested. Hit out all of our social medias at MMA Power Hour, and then also head on over to the Hannibal TV if you're watching on our socials. Head on over to the Hannibal TV on YouTube primarily, but also on Facebook.
Absolutely.
And I am tapping out and handing this over to you, Colin.
Fantastic, Dr. Adam Roorda. Thanks for all you do, man. Really appreciate you. And ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you jumping in here. We want to thank our guest, Chris Lytle. Means a lot for you to come on. Thank you so much, brother, and really always great chatting with you. We did have Kennedy Nzechukwu scheduled. Something must have come up. All respect to Kennedy, and he's coming off a big win. I'm sure we can get him again, and we've had him on a couple times in the past. He's a great guy. Thank you all for joining us. Please continue to support. Tell a friend. We really appreciate it. If you wanna support with a donation, it'll go toward helping make this show even better. And we're determined to get into a studio. We've been saying it for a while, but I think we will get into an actual studio where we're going to have guests in person. How sick would that look? So I think it would. I think so. I think Dr. Adam Roorda does as well, and I think you guys do too. So we appreciate your support. Go out and spread the love in a positive way. Be that guy, be that girl. Be gentle and kind to yourself. Call someone you haven't talked to in a while. Tell them you got their back and you love them. Take good care of your pets, your cats and dogs. Unconditional love is what you get. Make sure they're safe and get medical care when they need it. And fresh water, walk your dog, keep your cat box clean. Big love to all of you, for the entire team at the MMA Power Hour. For tonight, I'm Colin Crandall, as usual, and I'm tapping out.